What's up, guys?
What's up?
So this is my dad. Anybody that doesn't know, we're just gonna go.
Look at the shadow. This is so cool. Ooh, that's
So
cool.
we have no idea what we're gonna talk about, really,
But we're gonna talk because we can do that.
because we can do that.
Yeah.
If you're watching live, you can comment live. If you watch replay, just comment replay later. It helps with the algorithm, all that good stuff.
Algorithms. There's something I didn't know about when I was 36. Wow, old people. Yeah, well, it's good to see y'all. Good to see you. I'm really excited about what's going on Savage Dads.
Yeah, it's fun, right?
Yeah.
It was just like a kind of nudge and pulled the trigger, and so now we've got almost 600 people that are part of this group.
Wow.
Which is really cool.
That's proud.
And yeah, so
Nice night in the backyard.
we were talking earlier about like different coaching moments.
Dad moments
So-
are coaching moments.
So my dad is really young, and we had a lot of fun as a kid. I remember being like, I'm 36. I've got a 3-year-old. Now, when I was 3, you were probably what, like?
25.
Yeah. So it was a bit of a different experience. So it was fun though. We had a lot of fun.
We played a lot.
Played a whole lot. I feel like especially looking back, most of my Christmas presents and birthday presents,
No.
I think my dad got me so that he could play with them. It's okay, let's go to the oil rig.
That
You
was
know this
that was
story.
fantastic.
So
the oil rig.
How old was I? Must have been like 7 or something, right?
Yeah, something like that.
So I was like 7 years old, and I don't remember like ever seeing a commercial. or
I got it
anything.
at a toy store. They used to have toy stores.
But it was like
I thought
basically
that looked
Legos.
like fun.
Basically, it was Legos or some kind of blocks, and then you were supposed to put these little detonator things that are just like it's with air,
Yeah, like a little air compressor.
and then like you push down this pump, and it blows
The whole
up the
thing
Legos.
blows up.
So I was really excited about it, but my dad was equally as excited about it as I was.
And you were having a hard time pushing the little pumps that caused
Right,
things
I
to
was
explode.
having a hard time pushing the little pumps. And so he put my hand on it, and then he jammed the thing down, and I got a big blood blister on my hand, and it was fun.
Yeah, that was
It
exciting.
was Wes.
That was exciting. Yeah, we got it on video. I look like an abusive father.
Speaking of abuse, let's talk about baseball. That was a good accidental segue.
It was love, man. I wanted you to be able to take a shot.
All right, so here I'm going to lay out the framework, and we can
Okay.
just talk about this. It's a fun story,
A coaching story.
coaching story.
Coach Dad.
So I played a lot of baseball when I was a kid until I got hit in the face with a ball. Then I just didn't want to get hit in the face with baseballs anymore. I decided I want to get hit in the face with fists
Yeah.
instead. But anyway, back to baseball. We played baseball for a long time, and when I was really terrible at first,
Yeah.
and then I had like this accidental line drive catch that I don't know how I did.
I
don't know
remember
how
that
I snagged
so
it.
well.
I swear I was like dreaming while I was wide awake, and then the coach hit the ball my way. I accidentally snagged it, and
Yeah,
all of a
just threw your
sudden,
hand up and boom.
I was like starting in the infield. But anyway, I
It's
was
like
actually always
when
always
it hit
pretty
you in the
good.
hand, though, it's like it turned you all
Yeah,
the way
it
around.
turned me all the way around. So I was pretty good at baseball.
I was screaming too. I was like, yeah, snag the ball. I was.
It was completely accidental.
Yeah.
But
Won
I
your
was
starting position.
I was always good at batting though.
Very
I was
good.
pretty
yeah.
good at batting.
I called you the Hitman.
So yeah, that was before there was the Pastor disaster. I was Preston the Hitman.
Yes.
But I was playing Little League, and I was always like first or fourth, start up or clean up, and until I got hit with a ball. And then why don't you tell the story, how you remember it, and then
Oh, man.
I'll like kind of clean it up, put some of the pieces
So-
together, and then we can actually tell like there's a whole point to this.
Well, you got
There
hit
is
with the
like
ball.
there is a moral to this story, so hang in. It's not just fun and funny, but it is funny.
I don't think it was any different than other kids, like maybe even in my own life, because I played Little League Baseball.
Yeah.
And the one thing that's weird is you go like I never had t-ball, you know.
Yeah, I never played t-ball.
And you went straight to, kids throwing the ball at you.
Yeah.
And it gets a little frightening when you have a kid, a little kid throwing the ball, and you'd hit the ball really well, and then you got hit by the ball.
Yeah, I took
beamed.
it right in the side.
Yes, it was a good shot.
It
And
was.
then, after that, I mean, just saying, stay in there, step in the plate was difficult because, the memory of getting hit kind of took over. And so...
Actually, if you ever played baseball, just type baseball in the comments, or throw like a baseball emoji, something in the comments. That way we know that you're here. You didn't like put the phone down and like walk away. But,
Yeah.
but yeah. So all I could think about was getting hit. So I was stepping out of the batter's box a lot.
So I knew I had to do
stepping out.
something about it. So I took you out. And if those of you who know the church where we pastor, what is now the side office entrance parking lot used to be a yard.
Just grass.
And just beautiful place to play ball. And the side of the house was a backstop.
Yep.
And so I took a bunch of baseballs out, like a pail of baseballs, and thought I gotta take you out, show you how to take a hit. So I pitched balls to you.
Yeah, to me.
Well,
It was at me.
I threw balls
He
at
threw
you.
baseballs at
I threw baseballs
his
at
kid.
you. And I hit you. Oh, I'm sorry, man. I'm so sorry. Staying in there, and kind of smiled, and then ultimately, the idea was you would feel the hit from me, and you would kind of jump on board. And ultimately, I said, "Well, see, you took that hit, right? How you doing? I'm okay. You still alive? Yeah, I'm okay. I'm a grown man. I throw the ball.
Yeah.
These are just little kids that are throwing baseballs. You can stand in there. You can take the hit. You can overcome the pain." And it worked.
It did. So I don't think either of us ever knew how long that
It was
that
just a moment.
It was just a moment, but I don't think either of us knew how long that moment was going to last.
No.
Because it stuck with me literally forever. I'm 36. That probably happened when I was 8 years old or something, 7 or 8 years old at the latest, and I'm 36 years old, and I still remember that story so vividly to this day, and it taught me so much more about life than even just baseball. And yeah, we had that moment. It was a good one. I think especially for dads, we got to look for those moments, the little moments, playing baseball where our kid is afraid or hurt or whatever, and teach them that getting hurt is okay. You just can't go around life expecting to never get hurt. You got to experience life with the pain, with the hurt, and not be afraid of it. I've been listening to this book. I'm almost done with it, and it's called The 5-Second Rule. And it's not about eating food off the floor. It's about just doing things, getting things done. Don't let your emotions or your feelings dictate what you're gonna do. If you have this, what she calls this instinct, we know, the Holy Spirit moves us to do things sometimes, and we just got to do it and not let ourselves talk us out of it. And I think there are lots of moments in Little League and in life where we can teach our kids, these lessons that really carry us, because ultimately, that's helped me get through a lot of other way more difficult moments, outside of just getting hit with baseball.
And I think fathering is coaching. I mean, you've always got coaches. I remember, I see Iso Traconis is there, and he said,
saying
we played soccer in Peru. Yeah.
I played soccer once.
Yeah, but even that particular moment, and it just kind of showed. I grew up playing football, even though we use our hands. We should call it battle ball or something like that.
Yeah.
But fight ball. But that particular moment, you were talking about this the other day about when you were playing soccer, and I was telling you there was one time when your coach actually asked me to stand back, and it was because you were out there playing football, right? So you were playing soccer, and I just couldn't get the idea that this other kid could have a ball and you couldn't get it. And I was screaming. I was saying, Preston, do whatever you got to do. Just get the ball from that kid.
Yeah.
And his coach turned around and said, excuse me, Mr. Hawker, could you let me do the coaching today? And I guess, there are probably times when we need to let other people to involved in what we're teaching. But as dads, we need to always realize that we are in a coaching position, and we're coaching life at large. I mean, if you succeed at soccer or baseball, that's all fine. But we want our sons, our daughters to succeed in life and be effective. So you don't get to do that part-time. You gotta always be ready. Sometimes you gotta be quiet, perhaps, but you need to be ready to speak up.
I know as a coach, there's two sides of it. Sometimes I want parents to like just let me coach, especially like with a sport like wrestling, where there are a lot of people that think they know about wrestling, but they don't really know wrestling. Like I actually got stopped by a guy at the grocery store the other day, and I was wearing my Lynn Haven wrestling shirt, and he stopped me because he thought maybe I was a teacher, and his sixth grade kid goes to Lynn Haven, but he's actually never been to the school yet, and he had like 20 questions that I had 0 answers for. And he was like, "Oh, you're just the coach. Okay, we know a little bit about we know a little bit about wrestling. We're from Iowa." I was like, "Oh, did you wrestle?" "Oh, no." So I guess you don't really know anything about wrestling. But anyway, like sometimes you want people to like let you coach, but sometimes I really appreciate the somewhat overbearing parents because it means they're invested in it, especially if they're not like jerks to their kids. Like if you're being a jerk to your kid, then I'm probably going to ask you to like let me do the coaching. But if you're just encouraging them, if you're like screaming, like I don't know how many shoulder blades you have to have on the mat.
I did that. Yeah.
I'm probably cool with you. I'm probably okay with it.
Yeah, that was a great moment too. I remember you had so beaten that kid, and
that kid was tough.
He was ripped.
It was
a middle school. I remember exactly where it was. I can see myself in the stands.
I still remember watching the kid like walk out and just thinking, how the heck is this kid the same weight as me?
You know, for myself though, when I saw those, I was also thinking back to my own wrestling days because I wrestled in school and seeing those kids that were big. What a big deal it is to get out there and be victorious in moments like that. So as a father, part of it has to do with you just want your kid to succeed. You want your kid to have those moments of glory.
Yeah.
But I also remember some tough moments, moments when you had to face some defeat. Those moments are also massively important. We don't always give those things the headline.
Yeah.
But it's you got to be able to be in all of it. You're all in as a dad. You're not just in soccer. You're not just in baseball. I mean, you're in life. You're in pain. You're in victories, and it doesn't stop. I mean, when your kids get older, they're not a handful. They're a heartful, and you still are at a place like I could tell you things about where I am right now. Like, how does it feel when your kids leave your house? You think I get a good night's sleep, and I'm thinking, parents have this heart connection. It's a heart tie to their children, always needing to watch them and that sort of thing. And then they're gone, and it's like, what do I do? So you need to be able to celebrate them and be able to move into the next phase of parenting when you're an old guy like me.
That's good stuff, man. Yeah, I said something I think it was last week. It's like our kids go through different phases in life, and so we kind of have to be willing to be different versions of ourselves.
Yeah.
We have to be different versions for the different phases that they're going through, and like even with Avi being 3 years old, like timeout doesn't always work.
No, it doesn't.
We have to be flexible. We have to not be too committed to one thing because they're always changing. People kids, we think when a baby is born, it's it's ready for the world now, but it really isn't.
No.
Not at all. So it's then you just gotta get to experience, especially as a man, as a dad. I get to experience these changes that my daughter's having. Before, when she was inside of my wife and growing and developing as a baby inside, I didn't get to experience any of that stuff. But now I get to experience everything, some of which I wish I didn't experience. I don't know if anybody else has 3-year-olds, especially girls, or even 13-year-old girls that are just emotional. If they have crazy emotions that they're having to learn to navigate through. But that's my life currently.
Yeah. I thought when
if there's a tag on a shirt,
it's
it's the end of the world, guys. I'd like to shake the hand of the man who invented tagless shirts. I just want to shake their hand.
that tag right there on the back of the shirt.
Yeah, it's the worst. She
Yeah.
hates it.
I think though that especially, infant to 5 years old, and we've talked about this before. I think you have to do that well and incredibly consistently, because they're going to shift, and you move into more to heavier and heavier verbal coaching. The cognitive development of a child is so crazy. I mean, they don't have, when you're 2 years old, you don't have this introspective ability to step outside of yourself and say, well, I probably shouldn't act that way. It's not the best for me, and it's not very nice, and it doesn't please my parents. No, they don't think that. All they think is what they want. So you have to be heavily involved, hands-on in every moment, and then you have to deal with exactly what kind of punishment. There's corporal punishment and other kinds of punishment. Because by the time you're 5 years old, you don't want to have to be doing some of that
It gets
stuff.
harder, right?
You got to invest early in your kids. Teach them well, especially when they're babies. So when they're 5 and 6 and 7, and God help you when they're teenagers, you'll actually be able to speak into their life, and there'll be respect and an understanding of your role as a parent in their life.
Yeah. Consistency is a big deal, is what I'm finding. Like, especially with Avi, she's so smart. You don't get to one thing doesn't get to be okay one time and then it not be okay.
Her memory
the
is
other way.
amazing.
The other and that's goes the other way too. Do you have any other ideas, any tips for we're talking about discipline, which didn't really plan on, but being consistent and disciplined? Do you have any other kinds of tips?
Everything really is discipline. I mean, as Christians, we use the word discipleship, which is discipleship. Is what it is. So it's training them to be great individuals who love Jesus and who understand what it means to actually exist and live and to do well in life. And so you have to be consistent. So the things, you pick and choose your battles for sure, but you're not raising babies, you're raising adults that just happen to be babies right now. So the consistency matters so much. I think also, and I know everybody is in different situations. I'm blessed to have an incredible wife who's just a spectacular mother, but to be in partnership and to have agreement on the way that you're going to do things. You can't just, fly by the seat of your pants, and you can't respond out of anger, even though there are some things that will make you angry. You can't take their discipline personally. You have to take it and understand that their misbehavior is not something about you. It's really about their lack of understanding. So you have to be cautious about that. In the world that we're living right now, corporal punishment, physical punishment is certainly not smiled upon all that much. And it's really, even though the Bible says, everybody says, spare the rod and spoil the child, that doesn't mean you're supposed to beat your kids all the time. That's not what he's saying. He's saying that raise your children, correct your children. That's what he's saying. Yeah. So be wise with it. Talk with them, hold them. When a child is in that fit mode, just take them and hold them tight and keep speaking to them. Use your strength to comfort them and to hold them while they're getting out of that. There are other ways of doing things rather than yelling at your children well.
I think too, with me, I've seen one of the things that's worked with Avi is So one of the things that I find funny is when I see a grown adult talking to a 5-year-old, and the most funny, ironic question is to say, "What is wrong with you?" And then the 5-year-old's supposed to look back and say, "Well, actually, this is what's wrong with me." They don't know what's wrong. It's so weird. Everything, there's still lots of things that are new to even a 3-year-old. Lots of things that are brand new, things that they haven't experienced, emotions that they haven't experienced, biochemistry that they've never experienced. And so sometimes when that t-shirt tag just clicks and she's off, there are moments where I just have to I don't want to beat her. I mean, sometimes I want to, but
Don't make me throw a baseball at you. That's my
we're gonna
grandbaby.
go. But like sometimes I just have to take her, or I'll tell her it's time to go to your room. Go sit on your bed. I'll be in your room in a minute.
Yeah.
And sometimes it just takes that separation. Just telling her, you know, this is what we got to do. You got to go get control of yourself. And I know we actually got a couple questions.
Yeah, I see one from
Duke
Duke.
said, many men would like to know how you guide without being overbearing and intimidating. Do you have something to speak to that?
But you know,
I got a little.
Yeah, I mean, there's, you know, off the cuff, there's a lot of things. One of the things is that remember, you're not just a disciplinarian, but you're a pastor. And I think the way that Christ disciplined is so excellent. You know, Peter absolutely blew it.
Yeah.
He denied Christ, and so Jesus did probably the absolute opposite of what some fathers would do. He went and fixed him fish, and made sure that he blessed him instead of cursing him.
Yeah.
So one of the ways that you overcome intimidation and overbearing is you bless your children even when they're in a struggle. You let them know, I know you've done this, but really you're so much better than this. This action doesn't define you. You have to be able to do that constantly. So if all that they can see is heavy discipline, then they don't mature to a place where they actually enjoy obedience. And that's, you know, David writes constantly in Scripture.
Yeah, y'all need to hit that heart button. That was really good. That was really good.
David writes constantly in Scripture. If you read the Psalms, he's constantly saying things like this about Father in heaven. Oh, I love your law. Your law is so good to me. When I fulfill your law, my life is so much better. And you want to be that kind of a father until you're speaking things into your children. And as they grow, they begin to wait. Say, what do you have to say about this, Dad? Can you give me some instruction? Because they love your direction. They even love your correction. So make sure that that is the bigger part, not to just stop the behavior, but to help the child learn what it means to do well and the benefits of godly instruction.
I think it was probably Bob Goff, because I read his books all the time.
He's so good. I know you love Bob Goff.
And if you haven't heard me talk about Bob Goff before, you haven't listened. But I've listened to all his books at least a couple times each. But I think it was probably him. He says, like, basically the litmus test for love is grace.
Yeah.
You know, how much grace are you giving? And like that's one of the things that we got to look even at our kids is we've just got to be able to give them grace whenever it's available to give. You know, we got to be able to teach them, and so it's not like we can't always look past what they're doing is wrong. You know, like if they're talking back and it's always no, we can't just, you know, the coward thing to do is look past it and like not correct it. So there has to be a balance between, you know, what we're able to give grace to. Like if they broke something that genuinely was an accident, maybe you told them to stop running or like throwing the ball in the house, but it still genuinely was an accident. Do we need to like whoop them for it or ground them for a week? You know, like that's a good grace moment to say, hey, come here, let's talk. You know, like, you know, did I tell you 3-4 times now? Listen, now this is broken. Now Dad's going to have to be able to replace it. And it's a good teachable moment.
I like what Glenn's saying about being, you know, recognizing your errors as a father. I didn't do that well. I could have corrected you better in a different way. I think you have to give some grace to yourself as well. I mean, sometimes we think we're not going to do well. We're not going to accomplish things. We're not going, you know, I'm just messing up my kids. You're not. Stay involved. Don't back off. And I think, you know, that statement of grace is powerful. But remember, excellent discipline is also grace. Yeah. Because you're saving kids from eternal destruction. You're saving them. Sometimes I think for myself, you know, my dad's 82 years old, and I love God. I do, and I want to walk righteously. But there's this little boy inside of me that says if I massively screw up, he's gonna
show up,
jump in his pickup truck, and drive all the way to Virginia Beach. You know?
Hey, Mike is live. Mike just jumped on.
Wow. Hey, Mike.
Houston rules. Yeah, there's a quote.
Rules,
Josh, I know Josh Sholin's on here. But there's something I learned over in San Diego. One of the only things I ever learned out there, Josh. but he's somebody, I don't remember who it was, said rules without relationship equals rebellion.
Yeah.
So that's along the same lines. This is a bunch of good stuff.
That's great. I mean, if you don't have a relationship, all you're doing is making your child angry.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, there was a couple of reasons I never wanted my father to discipline me. One is because it hurt. Okay? But another is I wanted to please my father.
Yeah.
I loved him, and I didn't want to hurt him, and I knew his direction was why. So I think in life you have to be, going back to the coach, you have to be a good coach. I mean, we wrestled before you ever wrestled.
Oh yeah.
We wrestled every night in your room before you went to bed.
Mm-hmm.
We'd get your swords out and we'd have a sword fight.
We got in trouble a few
We
times
did
over
because we'd say our prayers and then you and I would just duke it out.
Yeah.
But I knew about wrestling before you ever had a coach that was wrestling. And so, I mean, you already knew how to shoot a half before you ever went to your first practice.
Yeah.
And I'm yelling and telling you to shoot and things like that. But I think as fathers, we are our children's first coach. And coach doesn't mean you're just making people run laps all the time or do extra push-ups or staying afterwards. It is involving yourself and making sure that your child is victorious in life.
Mind if I put this episode on? Oh, Duke, sure. That's great. I think we have to go eat dinner.
Yeah, in fact, I didn't even grill the burgers.
Oh,
Mom's
So-
Mom's up there doing that.
If you think, we got one. I know transparency is good, but do you think an abundance of transparency can negatively affect how your child views you as a parent or authority figure? I think you have to use some discernment, just be smart with it, and I think some of that depends on how old your kid is.
Yeah.
Some stuff you might want to keep in your pocket until they're a little bit older and a little more mature to be able to handle that information. So let's talk about drinking or smoking or something like that. You made some mistakes and maybe you partied when you were in high school, and you might not want to tell your freshman in high school that you're
If there's some generalities. I mean,
Yeah.
why don't you go ahead and say, some of the reasons I tell you these things is because I made some mistakes and I would have liked to have done them differently.
Yeah.
I think that's good. I remember, people don't know this old book, but there's a book called The Hiding Place, written by a lady named Corrie ten Boom, who she was imprisoned during the Holocaust.
Oh shoot.
And her father was killed, her sister died in prison, but she loved Jesus, she forgave everyone, but she constantly would tell stories about her relationship with her father as she walked through her difficulties. And one of her stories was she was a young girl and she had heard about sexual sin, and she's walking toward a bus, and her father has a big case in his hands, and she says, "Daddy, tell me what is sexual sin?" And he put a suitcase down and he said, "Would you carry this for me?" And she said, "Daddy, it's too heavy." And he said, "And
Shoot.
so are some of the topics that you're asking me for, and I'll give them to you when you're strong enough to carry them."
Dang, that's your answer, CeeLo. That was too good. That was too good.
Yeah,
All right, we're gonna end on that note. But if you think we should do some more with my dad, the savage dad, the savagest dad,
OG.
and throw up some thumbs. Give me an
guys are
emoji or
good.
something in the comments. Remember, if you're watching this on replay, put replay in the comments. It helps
guy's-
boost it back up to the top in the whole algorithm thing. So we'll be doing this again, guys. Remember to be blessed and stay savage.
Love you guys.